Hello, my name is Henry Varela, and I want to welcome you to the first ever ID My Athlete podcast. Very excited today to have Kaden Schufft with us. Kaden Schufft is a 2022 who attends Rio Rancho High School, and he's just had himself a tremendous season so far, and we just look forward to having him as part of our first ever ID My Athlete podcast. We hope you enjoy today's podcast and invite you to visit idmyathlete.com to learn more about ID My Athlete, to learn more about Kaden Schufft and a lot of our other athletes, and just to learn more about ways that we can help you get noticed, get recognized, and of course ID'd. Thank you again, and we hope that you enjoy this podcast with Kaden Schufft. Hello, everybody. I want to welcome you to the first ever ID My Athlete podcast. So excited to be here today with Kaden Schufft. How are you doing today, Kaden?
I'm good. I'm good. How are you?
I'm doing good, my man. Kaden Schufft is a senior this year. He's a 2022, attends Rio Rancho High School. And Kaden, man, you're coming off a tremendous high school season, man. I mean, you've had a tremendous 4 years as a varsity player, but I know this year, there was, you guys were defending a state championship, and you did everything you could to help Rio Rancho move forward. But why don't you tell me a little bit about the season, man? How did you feel this year with it being your last high school soccer season?
It was fun. It's a good experience. Obviously we won state last year, which was awesome because not a lot of people get to win state for high school. Whereas club is kind of more broad. So that's fun. There's a lot of tournaments like Metro and all that happens. So I don't know. It was a fun high school year though.
That's good, man. And I think, just being able to compete with your teammates, and obviously you've been doing club soccer for a long time, and having all those teammates, but there's nothing like being able to compete with for your school, and that
Right.
school pride, and obviously people had your guys number this year. They wanted you guys, they wanted to beat the state champs. And I know I was fortunate enough to watch some of your games, and everybody brought it against you guys, but you guys met that challenge. And what was it like, having every team coming in wanting to beat the defending state champ?
Well, I mean, it's hard to defend that, obviously, to win two times in a row, but it's fun to play against a lot of friends that you know from whether it's club or just training. So high school is a good like mix of friends because you're not just creating a brotherhood like with your high school teammates, but you're playing against your club teammates and it's fun.
Oh man, that's awesome. And I mean, and just as you finish the year, coming off of playing the spring soccer, and then of course summer, and then right into fall high school soccer. I know, COVID kind of mixed it up, but some of these accolades that, after finishing, like I said, a tremendous season, Caden, and you were obviously, 2021 all district team, all state, all metro. You were selected to be in the New Mexico High School Coaches All-Star Soccer Game, which took part in Las Cruces. And then, of course,
Hmm.
to top it off, you were selected as a boys high school All-American, and we're honored to be able to play in Knoxville, Tennessee, in the high school All-Star Game. Man, tell me about that one. What was it like going to Tennessee and playing with players that you've never even played with before, who are at the top of their games and going to some major universities?
Yeah, it was fun. The talent there was very very different from here in New Mexico. There was a lot of kids that are already committed, whereas here, like on the West Coast, there's not so much. Most of the East Coast was committed to big D1 schools where like Stanford, Clemson, Georgetown, some of the top four teams. But I mean, it was the talent there was really good, and it was a good time to go play with some of the top kids in the country. So
Oh man, and we got to watch you play, and we got to watch the live stream, and you did phenomenal. And I think,
thank
you
you.
you brought up a point about, a lot of these kids already being, especially as seniors, because you're a senior and they're already committed to school. So going into this game and knowing that, and even being out there on the field, what did it mean to you? Like, what did it bring out in you to be able to compete with these guys and knowing that, you're working towards finding that school that fits you, but what was it like? How did playing against those guys, what did it bring out of you?
Well, I mean, first looking at the list of players that were on my team or the players that I'm playing against, it's a little intimidating to see where they're committed. Um, I mean, I just knew I had to step it up a bit, just because those kids are really good, top players in the country. So I knew if I got chose for that, I was at their level. But it was fun. It was a good time.
That's awesome, man. I mean, those are the great experiences and kind of, going over your background and your history and obviously looking at the club soccer level. You've obviously been playing since you were, very little, a young kid. And, tell us about some of those things with club soccer. If I'm not mistaken, you've been to Italy and
Hmm.
Spain, correct?
Yeah.
So, how was that? I mean, obviously you have a great resume across everything, but what was it? What has it been like being able to have competed against some international kids?
That was just as fun. The opportunities I've got in Spain and Italy were just as big as the All-American one. We went out there in Spain, I'm pretty sure 2019, I believe. And we ended up losing in the quarters to the Man City Academy. So
Oh,
that's
wow.
a pretty big team. In PKs, we lost. So the talent there is beyond, I think, any. Actually, I think it's just as good, but it's the style of play is much different, and the opportunities that I've gotten to play is just amazing. So,
That's awesome. I mean, just to think that there's not very many, youth players who get that opportunity, aside from playing, high school soccer, and then of course club soccer, getting that opportunity, with a strong team and you as a cornerstone of your club soccer teams and your high school soccer teams to be able to compete against those kids and actually do very well in another country
mhm.
against clubs who, I mean, it's obviously these guys compete internationally, so that's great. And how would you say that these experiences of being able to, play overseas against these type of players, you've been heavily involved in the ODP programs and competing regionally, obviously through your club team, and then now through these all-star games. What have these experiences brought? Like, how is it going to help you get to that next level of college soccer?
Well, most of those were a good learning process for me. Um, I was kind of at the point where I was stuck into the New Mexico style of play, where it's kind of just hit the ball long and step up the lines. And then we went overseas and we started playing ODP against these other teams. So it taught me the different styles of play, to kind of step up my game a bit. But it was all these opportunities were a good lesson for me.
Yeah, and that's awesome. And that's the thing is that experience is something that I'm sure college coaches will find very valuable because
Hmm.
you are able to step on the field with players who you aren't familiar with. You're able to step on a field with other styles, and how do I adjust as a player in the backfield as a center back? And yeah, I can totally see how that helps you at that level. And talking about college, right? That's that thing again. Once again, you haven't committed yet, but I would assume that you've probably, at this level have some colleges that have been exploring with you and you've been exploring. How has the recruitment process been for you this last year, especially with COVID and moving forward?
It's a lot, but it's good. It's a good experience. It's a long process. Whereas you have to start out with the emails, sending mass emails to schools you're interested in too, and just keep following up with them. If you're doing emails, Twitter DMs, text messages, any of those, and then you follow up, keep following up. And if they end up responding, then you usually get on a phone call. Um, And from there, it's usually the visits or anything beyond that level. But it's a good long process.
Now, be honest with me. Being from New Mexico, where obviously you don't, we don't have a boys college program here,
Hmm.
right? The good thing is that you do play ECNL currently with the Rio Rapids. So you do get to go to events where there's coaches, obviously through your All-Star games and everything else. But what would you say are the biggest challenges about being a New Mexico athlete and trying to get to those schools, especially with an impressive resume like you have? You got to tell, there's got to be a frustration, right? Of
Yeah.
how has that been for you?
Yeah. Well, it's hard out of New Mexico. Like you said, we don't have a D1 or any big schools that have a soccer program because we got rid of them. But even from there, we don't have any showcases for colleges to come out to look at kids in New Mexico. We don't do any ID camps in New Mexico. So if you're really wanting to get noticed, you have to travel to showcases or ID camps, which is obviously a cost. And beyond that, if you're getting recruited, it's hard to get scholarship money to kids in New Mexico because of out of state tuition and other scholarship money, whereas it's athletic or academic, it's hard to bring in the out of state kids, whereas you could get the in state kids for a lot less money. So
Yeah, and I definitely see the challenge, and of course through what we're doing here, that's one of our main focuses is how can we help spread the word more about athletes such as yourself, and somebody who based off of the games we've seen and everything that that we know about you, is that we know that any college program that gets you is going to be lucky, but it's how do we and how do you get them to recognize you, right? How do you get them to see you and be able to do that? And what is probably one of the biggest things that coaches tell you right now in terms of what they want to see from you, or what's next to get you in their programs?
well, a lot of coaches tell me that they want to see me live, play live. So that's hard to try to schedule the games to come get them to come see me play live. Um, I've offered game footage to send to them, but most college coaches want to go to the games and be able to experience the live action. So there's that. A lot of coaches have also told me to come out to ID camps. Um, and that's hard to work around your club and a high school schedule as well, just because all high school schedules are different. Some play in the fall, some play in the spring. Um, but those two things are what most colleges look at to be able to look at the kids.
And speaking to you, obviously, you've been very busy recently because you have been going out to many ID camps, right?
Yeah,
So if I'm
yeah.
not mistaken, over the last month and a half, you and your family have been on the road nonstop between All-Star games and ID camps.
Hmm.
Just doing that. It's obvious that you're working hard through emails, through contacts, for everything to make sure that the coaches know about you. Tell us a little bit about these ID camps, man. How does that come? What is your, because I think this is something that helps others that are going through the process know, how do I approach these? What is your approach when you go to an ID camp, knowing everybody else there is trying to get recognized just like you?
Right. Well, when I go to these ID camps, there is usually a lot of kids, probably 100 to up to 300 kids. So it's tough to stand out, but the advice that I would give is just play your game, but I try to communicate as much as I can. So talking the entire time because some coaches don't see every single play you do, but they can hear you. Um,
Great.
so that's what I try to bring into the ID camps. I also, before I attend, I usually send out an email um, to them just saying I'll be there, my name, just so they have my name stuck in their head a bit, and then they'll see me face to face and can make connection.
Man, that's great advice. And I think, because I think once again, that's the biggest thing is especially you as a senior, as you being involved in the process, you've been doing this for years now. So you're kind of at that point where you've been there, done that. Now, you're just, like I said, waiting for that right program
Yeah.
to get you going, and you know, one thing that I'd ask you is what would you want college coaches to know about you as a player, as a soccer player?
Well, I would like them to know I've dedicated my whole life to soccer. So I've been training, I've been playing since I was 4 years old. So soccer's pretty much my priority right now, on and off the field. So,
Now, on the flip side of things, what should these college coaches know about you as a person? What should they know about Kaden Schufft?
well, a lot of coaches look at that side, not on the field, but off the field. They usually want to know how you are off the field. So me, I've created kind of a resume. I help out in communities, whether it's the coat drive that I used to do, or maybe just other charities or kind of work that I've done besides school. So it's that as well. Most coaches look at that before they look at how you are as a player. They look at how you are as a person. So
Right, and that's something that we've heard across the board as well, is that it's, basically, especially with giving scholarships, what are your grades? How do they, those are the type of things they look at. What kind of person are you? Are they bringing in somebody who's going to be a good person on the team, be great
right,
with the teammates, and have a good help with the culture of a team, or are they going to come in and destroy? And with everything we know about you, Kaden, we know that any once again that any program that you end up with is going to be lucky because you're a tremendous
thank you,
athlete, and even better, you're a tremendous person. And
thank you,
once again, this won't be the last time that we have you on a our podcast. And like I said, it's an absolute joy, and we wanted you to be the first athlete that we had on our podcast because you're just your wealth of knowledge. You're a tremendous athlete, and we truly look forward to everything that that you're going to do. Before we leave you too, is what do you know what degree you want to get in college? Is that something you're still exploring? What do you want to do in life after soccer, or is that what you want to do for life?
I mean, I do want to go play beyond college, but right now I'm looking in to go get my biology major. If that, I would like to go into engineering. But biology major is probably my number one choice right now. I'll get that. I'm looking to go into pre-med possibly. Um, yeah, so that's the route that I'm trying to take right now.
Oh, that's awesome, man. Well, we're definitely pulling for you, Kaden, and we're going to continue to do tabs. And, we appreciate you being an ID My Athlete. For anybody out there who wants to learn more about Kaden, and especially you coaches, go to kadenschuff.com. From there, you're going to be able to see his resume, your video highlights. They can watch full games of you. Everything. And there's also a contact section where they can get in contact with you. You'll also find a listing of Caden's games so that any of you coaches who want to get out there and watch him live, you'll have his schedule there and you'll know exactly. And of course, as you've been doing, Caden, you reach out to coaches nonstop. So I know you'll continue to provide that information through your website. But once again, man, thank you for taking the time to meet with us today. Once again, it's an absolute honor to have you on our first podcast. And thank you. And if there's anything you want to leave us with, we'd love to hear anything else you have.
Yeah, I mean, ID My Athlete has obviously been a huge step for me in the process. It has helped me get noticed many more ways than I could have imagined. So thank you.
Oh man, we appreciate it. And any tools we have and anything, that's what we want to be able to provide to you and all of these athletes, to anybody who needs help. And we look forward to being there on signing day when you're signing your national letter of intent for the school that's lucky enough to get you, Kaden. Thanks again,
Thank you.
everybody. We got Kaden Schufft, 2022 Rio Rancho High School. He'll be playing the fall season with the Rio Rapids ECNL team, 03 and 04, correct?
Yep. Yep.
Team. And once again, you can go to kadenschuff.com to learn more about Kaden. Thanks again, Kaden. We appreciate you, man.
Thank you. Thank you for
All
having me.
right. All right. Bye. Once again, we want to thank you for joining us for our first ever ID My Athlete podcast. We want to thank Kaden Schufft for joining us and being our first ever guest. Please keep tabs on any future ID My Athlete podcasts with some of New Mexico and our country's finest athletes on idmyathlete.com. And please follow us on social media on our Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter pages. Thank you again for joining us, and we hope you have a wonderful day.